Welcome to AWOL. Today we're going to be talking about why the word should is the most dangerous word in the dictionary. Let's go! Alright, so what the hell am I talking about, Aloysius? Probably what you're thinking. So, the word should, from what I've learned over the years, is a very deceptive and very misleading word. Because should is in the category of the should, could, would. Now, the word should implies that something ought to happen, or it would be the best if something happened, or the correct way if something happened. The problem is what I discussed in the previous episodes is morality and common agreement of how things ought to be, or should be in this case, has been destroyed. So now in the Western democracies in 2023, the word should has lost a lot of meaning. It's really used now as a way of social control, of someone else trying to get things their way in their interest. And of course, you know this channel, the complete opposite of what we're about. We are about 1, pragmatism, and 2, your best interest. Personalized solutions in your best interest. So we are not about that. So let's get into it. So though you got to understand the word should is idealistic. So what does idealistic mean? It pretty much means the ways things should be, like I explained before. So an ideal of like, oh, what if we all got along? What if everyone had money? What if everyone got what we wanted? That there's no pain or suffering or death, and we just lived all happy lives. That would be a utopia. So that would be idealistic about what we want. And it does have a use, like I just said, trying to figure out what you want. What would be the ideal in your life? Or what would be the ideal for a society? Now, the opposite of that is pragmatism, which is that's pragmatic, but it would be my one word I would describe myself. When people say, oh, Aloe, what's your politics? Are you right wing, left wing? Are you conservative, Republican, Democrat? All that stuff. I only describe myself in one word, which is pragmatic. It means whatever works. Idealistic is like the theory. Pragmatism is the groundwork of, whatever works. Like, what do we have in front of us, and what is making this machine run? And don't break what isn't broken. So I'm all about pragmatism because I believe it is the way forward. So that's why I rarely have ideals talking about, oh, what kind of economic system to run, or what kind of policies we should implement. It's like, let's see the situation. What works for one country is going to be completely different for another country. Liberal democracy, great in the US. In the Middle East, hell no. So, what is with the word should? So, the word should, like I said, belongs with idealism. It's about what something should be, what someone's ideal is. So, it's either your ideal or someone else's ideal, or it could be together. For example, if we were talking about how do we make a successful society run, we could talk about, like making sure everyone has a way to get social capital, which is money. That's an ideal. So everyone should be able to have an opportunity to get a job. That would be something I think most people could agree on. So trying to lower the unemployment rate would be a good opportunity for the word should, because we are all in agreement that we should lower the unemployment, because that is all in our goals, our best interest. Now, the issue comes when people start using the word should who have a different goal in mind than you do. And that's because, like I discussed, morality has been kind of distorted and everyone has their own now, and we don't have any more common interest. Before, in the past with politics, we're all in agreement about the goals for the most part in the US. But like, let's make a successful society. This is how will we go about it? Now everything's completely flipped, where some people want to destroy America or just exploit it, and other people want to save it, and that's why we have all these different goals. So now, here are some examples of how people use them maliciously. And some of them are quite legit, but you understand the reasonings behind why the use of the word should is malicious. Men should pay for the date. Our company should be diverse. You should be polite and respectful. Everyone should be equal. Now, the issue here is, why should it? Why should it? Like, for example, if we were living 100 years ago, or even further, in Victorian England, when all the chivalry was created and all this, the gender roles were in place, no one would question why men should pay for the date. It's because men were the provider. That was their role. Now, it's becoming into question because a lot of these roles have been thrown out. That some people and some genders have been destroying their own role, basically escaping that, but a lot of them still expect the other gender to be fulfilling their role. So this is where it becomes a problem. Like, why should men pay for the first date? If the covert social contract was broken, where if women were going to follow their role, why should men follow theirs? And that's why when you hear, say, men or women say this, men should pay for the date, it's valid to ask that question. Now, we can turn it to, like, it could be in your interest, for example, like if you are courting a girl, then providing that value, if you're serious, paying for the date is a great way to show it off. That by not paying the date, you are hurting your chances. So that is in your interest. So that's a good answer to why men should pay for the date. Now come down to here. Our company should be diverse. A lot of corporations saying this. It should be diverse. So we got to have equal amount of every kind of person in there. And you can ask, why should they? And a lot of them will respond, well, because diversity is our strength. Well, let me ask you, why? A lot of times, anytime that's asked, like, I don't hear an answer. Or some vague thing about, different backgrounds and all this stuff, which really has no real world impact. So that's a valid question of why should a company be diverse? And that one is based in fact. The questioning of fact. So the should, the ideal is being assumed based off a fact. If that fact is real or not is up to debate. But understand that if you know the fact is false, then the word should is very deceptive here. Then you should be polite and respectful. That's why. Now, what I described in the first one is, if they're saying you should be polite and respectful because that's what they want. They want to feel that being treated nicely, or they want you just to be even-toned and not cause any trouble. That's not in your interest. That's what they want. That's their answer. You know that they're not out for you. They just want to get what they want and trying to use these social mechanisms to control you. Now, if you should be polite and respectful, if they respond, well, then you'll get what you want, because if you're pleasant and kind, then the other people are going to like you more. That's a much more valid answer, because that benefits you and benefits me. And finally, everyone should be equal. My favorite question. And I ask, why? Why should everyone be equal? That's something that everyone says. We should all strive for equality. Even the U.S. Constitution says it. And equality, this idea, comes from the Constitution. I'm not going to go very deep into it, from the Enlightenment period. But simply put, it's all BS. That the blank slate theory has been proven wrong by Charles Darwin. And this idea everyone's equal is obviously false. We are all very different. We all have different values and different statistics. We are not equal. But when people do agree to that, they always say then, but we should treat each other like we're equal. And I ask, why? I don't have an answer about what's the best way to function in society. I'm just bringing it up where this is something that everyone just accepts. But what's the answer? Like, why? I don't know. So if you pursue them further with that question, they'll say, "Oh, because like everyone should be treated nice. Like we act like we're equal because that's how we just get along." And you don't really get an answer. But the truth is if you don't have any morality established in the society, either like a state-sponsored religion or just a general acceptance of a philosophy, then you can never have that should. Well, why should people be? Because unlike this one, like where, whoops, if maybe it's backed in like fact, this one is just a pure ideal, where it's like this is what people want, and it's just what people want. It's not something based in reality. It's just a desire. So why should I treat everyone equal? That if it's not in my interest, then why would I do that? So, was describing just in those examples the way I feel like is the best way to go about it is this little formula I made. Anytime you hear the word should, especially if you're in an argument or debate or someone's making a request of you, you should always ask why should I? Why should I do that? Why should I go? Why should I be quiet? Why should I go get this job? Why should I treat someone this way? And if their response is something that progresses you towards your goals, that benefits you, in the moment, it might not seem that it benefits you when they first bring it up, but they make a convincing argument of how it could. Like, oh, I know you want to say your thought, but if you stay quiet for this moment, like you'll get what you want somehow. Then that works. Then you should do it. Now, I'm saying you should do it because it's in your interest, is you're getting your goal. But if their answer benefits them or someone else or something else, like if they tell you you should get married and your question is why, how does this benefit me? And they say, well, because that's what my God says so, or the state institution should do so. It's good for the society. It's good for the girl. It's good for everyone else except you. If they don't have a clear reason why it's good for you, then absolutely not. That's how you got to go about it. Where is this in my best interest or is it not? For me, the word should has become a key word where instantly I hear should, in my interest or is it not? Are they trying to push their morality, their philosophy, their agenda onto me? Or are they genuinely looking after my interests? Like, remember the first episode I brought up the weight loss thing, right? If I'm 400 pounds and someone says that I should lose weight, and you ask why, is the answer because, oh, what, it's good for my health? Or is it because, oh, you're embarrassing the family, or I'm embarrassed to be around you, which is in their interest? So that's what you gotta look at, right? So instead of just always accepting should and being like just accepting it, we're like, oh, I guess everyone should be equal because that's what everyone else says. Really be thoughtful of it, because most of these people have no idea why it should. It just feels good. And most of the time you'll find out it should because they think it should because it's in their interest. And often it's not, that's a competing interest to yours. But be careful. That word should, very dangerous. It's the word of the devil. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.